First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Shows the agenda.
Get some feedback from the.
The consent agenda, you received the agenda, the minutes, all the financial statements and everything by email. Had a chance to review those. Any questions?
I do have one question
Okay.
with regards to the $6,000 charge, strategic analysis project development. Can you tell me what that is?
You
That's
on the
Shannon's
financials or
salary.
where?
Yeah, on the financials. What's that?
That's Shannon's salary.
Salary? Okay. All right. Just looked big and I hadn't had a chance
No,
to
we
come
had
up
3
with.
pay periods in August, so that's why that number is bigger than
Okay.
normal. We would normally have 2, but we had 3.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, explain that. Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Now, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, public comment.
I'll make a comment this morning.
Good, you've been absent for a while, would you like to?
I've been absent for a while, so I
Good.
guess I should speak up.
Well, stand up and speak.
Okay, Vicki German, I think you probably all know me, but I just want to say that I hear so much positive in the community about the building trades that's being offered at the college and at the high school. I hear a lot of positive about the high school. And when I mention that we even want to start reaching out to the middle school level, people get really excited. So thanks to Nicole for making all that happen. She really got those builders in line because they have great ideas, but we needed somebody to organize them. So that was really cool. Just want to thank you for being there anytime that I call, and I call quite a bit. And EcoDevo's always there and ready to help, ready to solve any issues, or ready to make business happen in Garden City. So just thankful for you guys. Glad you're here.
Thanks.
Thank you, Vicki. That is a great program that, with the help of the builders and the college working together and economic development, is going to be a real plus. Likewise, as you recall, over the last couple of years, few years, we've also worked with the college and stuff with the industrial maintenance program. So these are just, I think, examples of what the community can do when we come together and we all hold together through education and participation. So thank you, Vicki. I appreciate you taking time to show up and speak your piece. So, okay. Hearing no others, we will move forward with Lana.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Project 721 is a development site that we're working on with some local producers and a couple of large agricultural entities on a potential development that would allow for both manufacturing and logistics. I was able to take part in a Department of Agriculture virtual summit that they had regarding agriculture and really focused on the southwest corner of the state. And there was a lot of discussion about logistics and the importance of that going forward, ensuring that we have access to markets. And it was really interesting timing, but it was just right after we'd really started these discussions around this project. So we're excited about it, and certainly will continue to do our part to help make that a reality.
Excuse me, we're still getting a little bit of feedback. Thanks.
I don't know if that's my microphone or not. I'm sorry. I'll back up a little bit. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're setting it back there.
Okay. updates on, except that we did attend the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. Their conditional use permit was approved, and that is the new brewery project over on Schulman. And they did do a kind of kickoff fundraising event where they allowed folks to purchase tickets and come in and hear what their plan is and get their idea, and it was very well attended, so we're really excited for them.
You gotta put a floor and everything in that building.
It's already, it's
Oh,
got.
it's already there?
Yeah, concrete floor, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a very nice, solid building. They'd already done a lot of the work to it. So it's, yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool. We're
So are
excited.
they actually gonna brew beer there?
Mhm. Yeah, that's all they will do. They will not cook. They will brew, and they'll have food trucks. And we'll have the opportunity to come and park. And then obviously, you know, folks are welcome to bring food from outside if they choose to.
I might add, my granddad built that building,
I know, and I think that's cool.
and I helped wire it.
Did you?
Well,
I better
in
warn him
later
about
years,
that.
My uncle owned
I'll warn them that you
it, yeah.
touched the wiring, so.
If
Yeah.
they need help, why, call her.
Tell them he knows where everything is. Yeah, they're really excited about it. I think it's gonna
You
be
can
fun.
fix the shorts, huh?
I'll fix the shorts.
Or make them, one or the other.
There you go.
Prospect 320, we have followed up with them, and they have informed us that they are continuing to work through now. COVID obviously has set them back quite a bit. Their business is all about getting product out, and they were pretty busy getting product out during COVID, but they are working on the sites that we had submitted to them again now. Prospect Proxima, we've not heard anything additional. This was one that came to us as an international prospect that came through the Department of Commerce. We have submitted a lot of follow-up information to them and haven't heard anything now again since last month, so.
Or maybe if their representative's gonna be in House Pacific.
No. No, these are, the ones that are coming, that are visiting Garden City today are domestic recruiters. And this came through the international commerce team, so, which is a different subset of the Department of Commerce. Empirical is working now to schedule their groundbreaking, so we'll let you know as soon as we hear final date for that. I'm very excited to get them going, and they're very excited to get going. Housing project 8-20. We don't typically list housing projects that we work on in the report, but I kind of felt like this one was important just because it's important for you all, as well as for the public, to know how much involvement we've had in this project. So this one was a prospect that came to us. They really just wanted information on Rural Housing Incentive District. They had found a piece of property that they'd made an offer on and wanted to know how we might be able to work with them with the RHIE tool. Upon sitting down with them, it became clear that as a 67-acre parcel, there were some pretty huge opportunities for us to really dig in and get a lot of variety of housing in that one subdivision. So in working with them, we kind of got to put all of our wish lists together. We've talked for a long time that when we develop these larger parcels, we need to make sure that we're really building a community within the community. So we make sure that we're making room for childcare, making room for active living, elementary schools if needed, you know, really focusing on how do we make this parcel its own neighborhood where folks really become a part of their smaller community that's within the larger community. Super exciting that we got to work on this project in that way. I think Steve will talk a little bit in his report about his involvement and how he helped with that. But this is just one of those projects that really highlights how each of our unique subsets of talent within our office and the skills that we each bring to the table really play into a single project. You know, we had Shannon pulling data about what housing we needed and really pulling out the information from the housing study that made the most sense to them. We had Nicole talking about community development and how do we make sure that this really is its own community. And then, you know, you throw in an engineer who can draw it all, and that's kind of cool. So I'll let Steve talk a little bit more about that, but we're really excited to get that project going. We've been able to get them in front of the city manager neighborhood development service, utilities. Things have moved really quickly with them. Tomorrow morning, we have a meeting that we have reached out to a couple of multifamily developers, one who does more of the income-based, wage-appropriate type multifamily, and then another who does market-rate multifamily. And so we're bringing those to the table to meet with the developer and investor so that they can really talk through, you know, if we go ahead and set aside this space for multifamily, who can really develop that? We want to make sure we bring the best person to the team to do that. So we're super excited, again, to be working on this one. A lot of housing units that we can make available in the community, which, as we all know, is extremely important right now. Any questions on any of that? Okay, great.
Temporary design or anything for that?
Yeah, we
for
did
that
all of
acreage? You've
the
got it
original.
all laid out?
We laid it all out for him, and then now he's got his engineer and surveyor working to put that together and put it into action, if you will. But yeah, fortunately, again, with having Steve there, we were able to draw it in a way that makes sense, and that it's pretty easy for the engineer to step in and say, oh, yeah, now we just need to refine this and widen a road and, you know, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, it definitely sped the project a lot to have that to put in front of them. We are still working on the industrial park that we'd really like to get available a little further out into the county. It's been slowed quite a bit. Unfortunately, some of our partners on this, both who loan the land and who would manage the utilities, have not been able to really work much on it during COVID. So hopefully we're getting closer to being able to get some attention back on that. Lots of meetings. Things have certainly picked up in that regard. We've dealt with several entrepreneurs over the last month, which has been a lot of fun. That's just folks who have new ideas for businesses. Some of those born of COVID, and some of those just ideas that I think people with more time at home are being a little more creative and thinking things through. So that's kind of exciting. We've also had several landowners come to us in the last several weeks and want us to look at what we could do to develop property with them. So that's exciting. Some good opportunities that I think are going to come from that. Our retail consultant from Tulsa came up, and he brought a developer with him who's from the Dallas area. We were able to take them on kind of a whirlwind tour of the community, show them a lot of the commercial areas that we have either for new development or redevelopment, and they were really excited with our community, super impressed with all of the data that we collect and all of the reports that we provide. He said that goes a long way towards helping him to sell the community to their retailers. So super exciting that we got to host them and hope to see some really good activities. Unfortunately, they were here for a very short time. They got here late in the afternoon one day and left the next morning by 9 o'clock. So we tried to get as much as we could into the time that we had. I did serve on a statewide panel about early childhood and have had a couple of communities follow up wanting us to provide the boot camp for their communities, the child care boot camp. I think at this point, just because it is so unsure what all's going to happen with COVID now that schools started back up and so forth, we're going to do at least one of those virtually for a community and see how that goes. If it goes well, that may be an option that we lay out there for folks. I think it's if a community's already somewhat down the road on it and done some of their own work, I think virtually we can probably get most of it accomplished. But in the long term, I think we really need to get back to the live, in-person, multiple communities participating at once, just because that, I think, is where we'll really get the action of talking to one another and then fresh ideas and those types of things for communities. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes when we try one virtually. This coming month, we have, as I mentioned before the meeting started, we have the Department of Commerce coming this afternoon. They just want to see our community assets. These are recruiters who live in different areas of the country. So they're coming here really to familiarize themselves with Western Kansas and specifically with our own community, just so that when they're out talking to businesses, they have a better feel for what they're doing, so.
Do you know if they're visiting other communities as well?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they schedule the trip, they fly in, and then they schedule their drive time. They wanted to stay in Garden City overnight tonight, so they opted to do us this afternoon so that it just fed right into this evening and they could spend the night, so. But yes, they are going. They'll be in Dodge City this morning and drive over here from there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is really all I have for you. Childcare, we do have a couple of additional updates. We have, the school district has reached out to us. They've been given some grant dollars to work with for children's literacy and would like to work with the Early Learning Network to get some of those dollars activated if possible. So I have a call with them on October 1st, I believe is when it is. And we are working with the treasurer of the board of directors is working on getting the community service tax credits out and available. So we're also doing the application for the CARES Act, the Spark, $2. The county should have the application up sometime, hopefully this week, so we can apply for some of those dollars. Childcare has been identified by the state as one of their priorities for those CARES Act dollars. So we feel fairly confident that with our network being established the way it has, it will be an organization worthy of funding. So any questions I can answer for anyone.
What's the, and I asked this before, what's the status of Rochester? Are they still in negotiation on access or
Yeah,
whatever?
the last that I heard from them, they still hadn't received a signed document giving them that access point. So hopefully that'll happen sooner rather than later.
Okay. Any questions? Comments, anything? Okay. Nicole, would you like to update us on what's going on with workforce?
Good morning.
Morning.
Jenny Hands and I have been meeting, we haven't been having youth development meetings in person just because of the regulations that have been put on the school district. So they kind of discourage those that aren't necessarily in the school all the time from doing things like that. So Jenny and I have been meeting over Zoom and going over how we would like the freshman career fair to go. And that's, I think we have the logistics out of the way of how that's going to work. Now it's just going to be getting the employers on board and giving some demonstrations to them on the types of videos that we want them to submit. And while we understand that a huge asset of the career fair is that one-on-one interaction with the students, it's just not going to be possible this year. So we're going to view it as it's a tool that we can use going forward, even for the upperclassmen, because just because they pick a career choice their sophomore year doesn't mean that's what they're going to stay with their juniors and senior years. So we're hoping that it can be a long-term tool that the school can use. But the employers will be encouraged to submit 2 to 3 minute videos describing what their jobs are and education required and things like that. So the kids right now, we have it proposed that they would, in their mentoring, each student has a mentoring period every day at the high school. So that's when we'll be presenting that. Well, they'll have however many minutes that they need to go through, go out on the website and click through however many videos that they want to go through. So that's how we're going to view that. We're still going to have it. The deadline is still going to be that early December, how we would normally have the traditional career fair, because the kids will still take their Zello test, formerly career cruising, in early to mid-January. So give them some time to mull that over and think about what they want to do. So seems to be going forward pretty smoothly. On workforce development, a couple weeks ago, I was able to, Empirical flew us up to Sioux City to their plant. I went with Dr. Ruda and Mark Malone and Chuck Pfeiffer from the college. The college had an opportunity to also tour the facility, but present a grant opportunity on their industrial maintenance program that they were needing a match. And Empirical seemed very receptive to that, and I think they're going to help with the industrial maintenance instructor and really have a big part in forming that program to make sure that it is what they are wanting. But it was a whirlwind day. We left here at like 6 o'clock in the morning and got back at 4 o'clock. So it was awesome. The plant is really cool, and when they say that they are not a ground beef company, they are a technology company, that is exactly what they mean. It is amazing what they do there. It was very, very cool. We got to really get a good feel of their culture, of their company. We had a lot of their supervisors come in and talk to us about some of the challenges they face and some of the challenges they've even been facing when they talk about the Garden City plant. Because a lot of them were even ones that had started here and then they moved up there and they're like, now you want me to go back? And so talking to them about how the community has changed, and it was great to have the opportunity to speak with them. And we've all known all along since they've been talking to us, their culture is really important to them, but this was like a reiteration of, they have a lot of long-term employees. I mean, they are not a high turnover type company. A lot of them have been there for 20 plus years. I think the shortest one we talked to had been there for 10 years, and they considered him like a short timer. So, and he was, I think, like 26 years old or something. I mean, he was so young, but just so much talent and so many cool people up there. So it was a really, really good trip. Like I said, I think it was really positive for the college as well. I mean, it was good for them to get to see it, especially as we put together this industrial maintenance program. They got to see the plant, so they really know what they're looking for. And Vicki stole my notes on the carpentry program. But I was going to say, we are receiving quite a bit of good feedback on the carpentry program. And initially they had said they were just going to offer it to the high school kids this year, but they had such demand that they were able to do the morning class is the more traditional college students, and then the afternoon class is the high school kids. So they've got it split up, and I think their teacher is like, he is super outgoing and he's so excited to do this. They've already, if you guys follow them on Facebook, they've already basically got a shed built and they're getting ready to put siding on it. And
Yeah, 2 of them.
they're moving quickly. So he seems super motivated, but he's already asked about how we could potentially grow the program, and you know, how many students we're gearing for, and you know, what's the possibility of potentially hiring another instructor. So I mean, he's really gung-ho about it. So lots of great ideas there. And then another update, forgot to put on there, been working with the college with Dr. Terpstra on the early childhood program. As you know, they did have it, it's been on hiatus for a few years, and they are working to get it reinstated. But right now we're working to get a Cert A, which is around 17 credit hours, which we deem that as our immediate need right now in the community. The associates program obviously will be a beneficial thing, but the Cert A is really what we need to get those people credentialed to sit for their CDC exam, or their CDA. And so been working. Thankfully, I'd already done a market study about a year ago, so all I had to do was just update the market study, send it over to him, and then we worked to get some industry letters of recommendation so they can send it up to KBOR to get it going. So it's been good.
Good.
That's all I have. If you guys have questions.
Sound like you've been busy.
Okay, any questions? All right. Steve, welcome to the podium. You remember how to get there?
Well, fortunately, there are a lot of chairs that have to navigate through, so. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think, yeah, it's brightening up out there. So. Well, Lana kind of told you what we did on the one residential project, and that took me back to the good old days in an office somewhere over that way or downstairs. So that was a lot of fun, getting the creative juices flowing and trying to figure out how we could incorporate a complete mix of residential and a little bit of commercial into a single project, and send that off to a developer, get a little bit of feedback, tweak it a bunch, not a bunch, but it took a while. It was, moved a few things around. I thought we were gonna end up with maybe a smaller total unit count, but it actually gained about 25, so that was pretty cool. And then to find out they're actually rolling off with that plan instead of saying, well, that works good, we'll take it from here and go.
Cut it
So
up.
that was pretty slick. In the same vein, done a couple of other layouts for some potential projects. I don't remember what numbers they are. I go by names. Lana still uses numbers, and she hasn't put all the names on her presentation. So, in doing that, I'm able to start building up our base mapping so that as projects come in anywhere in the county, we can pretty much throw some pretty good graphics together, and be able to make a solid presentation on any kind of project anywhere in Finney County. So, setting up some mapping for marketing in Nicole's world. Pretty close to finishing a map that has the qualified opportunity zones, the Starbond District, downtown vision, so that depending on whether we have a commercial or industrial type of project we're looking at, we can have a little extra tool that, to throw into the marketing package, stimulate interest in Garden City and Finney County. That's about it. So, questions? What do you want me to draw? I'll do it.
How long does it take, let's say on this more recent project that you laid out, you've worked with the developers to get to an RHID answer? From when you decide to submit it and somebody, whomever it is that looks at it, how long does that take?
I mean, to actually get an RHID established
Oh, yeah, correct.
by the other people
By
that sit
whomever,
in here or across the way. You can probably get that done in about 2 months.
So from realization, if these people decide that they're going to develop and then say, all right, let's apply,
Yeah.
it's realistic that something could start in spring?
Yeah.
Okay.
That they're hoping to move dirt in January.
Yeah, they,
were
you know,
going to get it put together.
Yeah, they're set up, they're kind of their phasing concept, and phase 1 butts right up against some existing development. Utilities are partially already in place for it, and extensions aren't that hard to get done. So their first phase, easily next spring, we'll be seeing basements.
So when you say the extensions are not difficult, so the sewer infrastructure is able to handle the load that's
Yeah.
there and the water and all the other utilities? That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it just happens that in a previous life, you know, we master plan things pretty
Mhm.
good.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, this, this acreage was actually, clear back when it was purchased, was kind of laid out to where it
Plan
would
for that, yeah.
be incorporated into the city and move forward with development, so, so it's a good program, good.
Yeah, very exciting.
You know, we've wanted to do some kind of unique to Garden City type new development where you have first floor first floor commercial, and then apartments, maybe multi-level apartments above it. And they wanted to incorporate daycare, so we threw a couple of 59-unit centers into the acreage, and got a little bit of commercial.
Is this something that's been talked about
had to develop around this parcel for the last decade. So, yeah, it literally came to us at the very end of August, and we were able to get this stuff all
The
together.
area over here,
It's in the northeast section.
it's what?
It's
Northeast.
northeast, in the northeast quadrant.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah, no, not the one we've talked about on Main Street, no. Yeah.
And Nicole came in one day, she'd been somewhere and had this light bulb came off, so she comes in and says, hey, can you do some retail over here? So, did a couple of layouts for that. That was
Good.
part of what we showed Ricky and his Dallas developer, so.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Great.
Good ideas.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve.
Keep those juices flowing, man.
Yeah, you gotta keep them interested, so that works. Speaking of interesting, that guy with the numbers that never ceases to amaze you, Shannon.
I'll cease to amaze you too. I'm gonna save my minutes for a different month.
Oh.
I've been keeping track, and I've used up so many that actually
Yeah.
I have to bank them for later.
I kinda thought maybe you were working on January or something
We're right.
already, yeah.
No,
Yesterday, working away in there, I figured you were really.
I had yeah. There is a lot of stuff, but it's not very good. That's why I have to save my minutes. And I'm wasting them right now for next month. We'll have some good stuff next month, but so I'm just gonna go over the social media report. I don't know if you've noticed Facebook. They did a redesign, and I don't really know for sure if all the reporting out is right. Like, we're posting stuff, it's getting likes, it's getting shares, we're getting like 20, 30, like within an hour, which is about typical, but it's saying we're getting no views. So some sort of reporting is kind of messed up there. So when you look at this, know that some of this might just be some of their internal systems just getting fixed from their end of things. But GreaterGardenCity.com, we had 4,000 total visits, about 190 a day. Top story was with a senior that was nominated to the National Merits semifinalist. Tommy Austin Arboretum ribbon cutting, fall cleanup, and so forth. On our Facebook pages, the Garden City Journal had just short of 19,000 total views for about 675 a day and reached 1,400 people. Some of the top posts there were some of the projects at the zoo and just some other Garden City stuff, Garden City Arts. There was an art bus that was in town for a little bit and so forth. And then Greater Garden City was a little bit over 6,000 posts, or about almost 400 views a day on that site as well. So this is about these are about typical views that we get per month. Last year we had much more, or last month we had much more, but we also had Hidden Trail and Crispy Donut more opening or announcing or opening, and that really drove up the visits that we saw from last month. So, any questions? I'm trying to get out of here within 5 minutes, so I can use up my 35 next month.
I guess the other topic that I always kind of like to hear about is our numbers on COVID-related
Yeah.
situations.
And that's actually what I spent a lot of time yesterday working on. This will be using up some of my time for next month. So if we look at how the testing has happened, we know we had like the peak at the beginning, and then a lull, and then we now have a new uptick, and so we have in our Southwest Kansas area, we had the meatpacking plants. That was that initial big infection. Then we kind of had the infections that were done through holidays, which was really a driver. And then it looks like now our new driver of cases in Finney County is related to school districts. So what we're looking at is, you remember when I had the CDC says that we should be expecting 30 people, that one turns into a hospital case. We have a different testing protocol or testing system in place where that doesn't really make as much sense as it did during the previous. So we're trying to make a new set of predictors to be able to, for one, tell the hospital, okay, we have this many active cases, be prepared. And I've been doing this every Monday, saying, here's the number of active cases we have in Finney County. Next Monday, expect to have like this. Last time I said, expect to have 8 cases next Monday. So we're updating that, and that's actually including Ford County, Finney County, and Grant County into those numbers. And so yesterday I was working on that where we got, it's about 1 of every 30 active cases turns into hospitalization from Finney County. It's about 1 out of every 30 from Grant County, and it's about 1 of every 125 from Ford County. The problem, and the reason I didn't want to just put it up today, is that was really that span between July 1st and right before school started. That's how it acted. And we're in a new phase now with school. There's a difference in cases and hospitalizations. So we need kind of like a little bit more time to get completely updated there. But right now, I think in Finney County, we are just right around 100 active cases, which is higher than it has been. We've been somewhere bouncing between 30 to 60, up and down. We're up a little bit higher. Ford County is like at 250 or so active cases, and they just keep on going up. So it is on the way up, but it's on the way up everywhere. If you look at the cases in Johnson County, they're still like at 13 to 1,400 positive cases, and on the way up. Sedgwick County, we're still talking about 600 or so, and they're on their way up too. A lot of these look like they were going down just like we were, but everybody's kind of ticking up right now. So.
Well, I think in today's paper, it's woe is me, it's all terrible based on the health department. And there are a lot of tests, there's a lot of positive tests,
right.
But the hospitalizations are not there. And, I just keep trying to find a way to find numbers that mean something. And in speaking with some doctors over the weekend, they said, it's been amazing. We're unfortunately at 200,000 nationwide deaths due to COVID, but miraculously, our heart disease is down to almost nothing. Our cancer is down to almost nothing. So we've solved all of these problems, but we got this one bad one over here.
Right.
And no one's ever going to be able to go back and say, well, maybe we counted some over here that maybe had an underlying cause.
Right.
But it sells a lot better.
Well,
200,000.
Well, and if you, just yesterday morning we had our favorite Irishman come by and talk about the numbers, and he was saying, well, in Ireland we only have 0.6% of our population that has COVID, that were COVID positive ever. In Finney County we had 4%. It's like, we're doing so much better. I said, okay, Alan, it's my favorite Irishman. let's go look at the fatalities that you had in Ireland and make sure it's okay, because our whole thing was we got the actual proper number of tests done, so we're pretty confident, and our numbers match right up. So I said, let's go look at what Ireland's fatalities are versus what they should have had number of cases. Sure enough, same thing as in Eastern Kansas. They're missing by a factor of 10. They have 10 times more deaths than they have cases from what we know from research. So if you go extrapolate that, like, well, actually, it looks like probably 6% of your population was positive in Ireland, where it's only 4.5 here. So maybe it's actually a little bit safer here. So that's still the message that we have to get out, that just because we had the high number of cases doesn't mean we had more cases. It just means we did a better job of measuring those cases. And we still, just yesterday, I was still making that argument.
I think sooner or later we have to find a way that we present a total picture instead of doom and gloom and then, hey, it's not so bad.
Right.
Somewhere in between is the rest of the story that needs to get out, because numbers tell all kinds of different stories, and you can make those numbers say about anything you want. And you watch the news from Wichita, and every third week they change the way they present the numbers to make the numbers look better. But we don't get that. It's that terrible Western Kansas that.
I printed this off to bring to you. Now I'm definitely using up all my time. I'm not going to have extra time next week. The day after they printed out, they had those clusters, and we said, look at these clusters, this is what's going to happen. The day after they released that, the news, KWCH or one of those, Wichita, headline news, meatpacking plants is #1 place for COVID. We were at nothing. They were way above us. It's 20 times the active cases. Their headline news was that meatpacking is where the most cases are. You're like, guys, we knew this. We said that's what's going to happen when they switch to this cluster analysis, and that's what they did. It's just pointing it back to us when we are doing.
Takes the pressure off the other side.
Well, they need the pressure. So.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Well, and I agree, numbers are numbers, you know, and you can, if you massage them long enough and work with them long enough, you can make them say whatever you want to, and, somewhere, I agree with Bob, there's gotta be a real number that, you know, is beneficial to everybody, and
Yeah.
you can make sense out of it, so.
And like I said, that, you know, we were very adamant from the very start of this that we were going to track it ourselves. We were going to have sure data sources all along the way. And if anything, this is a huge opportunity for us to learn as a community. It's a good opportunity for us to learn how to better manage situations like this. And the only way we knew then, unfortunately, we knew that the only way we were going to have accurate data to work with was if we were collecting our own data and managing that process. So again, we'll have better opportunities as a community moving forward. We'll have a lot better picture of how this pandemic impacted us and how we can alleviate future concerns with similar issues. So again, our community should be very thankful that you guys had the foresight to encourage us to continue doing that, because that will be, it's good information today. And, you know, obviously, as Shannon said, you know, there's great opportunities for us to be able to warn the hospitals when we see upticks, and that'll change some. Again, with it being school spread, there's a good chance that hospitalization rate will go down, simply because what we've seen has indicated that young people aren't as drastically impacted by the virus as older subsets are. So that may change that number, but by tracking it every 3 days, we know when to make those adjustments. So it's good information to have today, but our goal all along has been that we would have the data in the future, so that in hindsight, we had a better opportunity to prepare our community for any event of this nature.
Good. And I still say that we're fortunate that we live in western Kansas, Finney County. The fact that Garden City, Finney County is open for business. We have not really rejected the use of masks and social distancing and everything. We've adopted that, and I think it's been very rewarding, and I think all of us appreciate that. So enough said, just keep doing what you do. Appreciate the numbers, and appreciate you working on a way to make those really mean something that we can use. So thank you. Moving on, I have no new business or old business, either one. Do need probably 15 minutes for an executive session to discuss some client information. So I would at this time entertain a motion to adjourn our regular meeting to executive session for 15 minutes. We will resume executive session at 8:15 and be back at 8:30.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize
Yes,
if I could.
ma'am.
Our November meeting is scheduled to be the day before Thanksgiving. Is that okay for the board, or would you like for us to look at alternative dates?
Good with me.
It's all right with me, I know.
You don't eat turkey anyway, right, Sam? Who needs a
Sounds
turkey?
good.
Those are icky.
Just have
And
another
say we
prime
still have
rib on the
October
day
if
after.
we need to
Yeah, we
change
do.
it for any
Certainly
reason,
give
but
that
yeah.
some thought, look into your plans, and if we need to make an adjustment
we
to that,
can-
let us know so that we can work
we'll-
on a location and so forth.
We can
What's the menu?
poll the board first, yeah.
Sweet potato pie.
We,
I guess one other thing, and maybe just information's sake, if we do our board training retreat, is there a day of the week or a morning or afternoon, let's say if we set it up for about a 4-hour session, is there a preference that works better for people?
I say Wednesday, middle of the week would be probably best for me.
yeah, morning or afternoon?
Morning.
Morning,
Morning would
8
probably-
o'clock? Wednesday?
6 o'clock? Yeah. that's good.
Sometime.
I'll go for 7.
And maybe sometime like in the first 2 weeks of December.
They won't be there, but
We can find.
I think that sounds like a good time, so
Okay.
All right,
work on that, okay?
can do.
Now,
Now, I move we adjourn
I'll
and
second.
go into executive session.
okay, we've got
I'll
a
second.
motion, we've got a second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thanks for coming, Vicky.
Adjourn, thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve, Shannon.
Thank you, Vicky.
See you guys.